Man City are next in Premier League action on Sunday when they return to the Etihad Stadium to take on a high-flying Bournemouth outfit who currently sits second in the table. They're 4 points behind leaders Arsenal and 2 points ahead of Pep Guardiola's men in fifth. Now, Bournemouth climbed above City in the table after beating Nottingham Forest 2-0 last weekend, and they've put together an eight-game unbeaten run now in the Premier League since losing 4-2 against Liverpool on the opening weekend of the season. So they're in fine form at the moment. And as for Man City, their nine-game unbeaten run in all competitions was ended by Aston Villa last weekend, losing 1-0 at Villa Park, and they're now preparing for what could prove to be a tricky test against an informed Bournemouth side. So, Stephen, what have you made of Bournemouth's start to the season, and how difficult do you think this fixture could be for Man City?
Remarkable. I'm just looking at the back line against Forest. Milosavljevic butchered
Hmm.
that, and Senesi and Truffert, like, oh, they don't literally like three of their back line is gone from last season. And it's it's really impressive. That they keep bringing in these guys who, aren't superstars. They seamlessly fit into the system, and Iriola is like pound for pound right now. What a manager! He's absolutely fantastic, and to have them second up there with such a clear identity and players clearly getting better, there's. Yeah, it's fantastic, and Semenyo has been one of the best players in the league this season. He's been absolutely ridiculous. A good victory as well. At Forest, I know Forest are sort of in turmoil, but it's you got to win your home games, and they're doing that comfortably right now. Bournemouth and second in the league after 9 games. It's a quarter of the season gone, 18 points, making City and Liverpool look stupid anyway. And I am, yeah, I'm a bit anxious about this game because after the Villa game, it is at the Etihad, which makes it, well, on paper easier. But Bournemouth are very similar to Villa. When you look at and probably better than Villa in terms of who they are right now. When you look at how they play, the intensity, the organisation, the structure, but then the skill and the focus. Like they are the archetypal Premier League side these days. And what I mean by that, not your Liverpool or Arsenal or City, but the average Premier League side of the middling. They're the wrong words. I guess the mid-table side in terms of expectations, but they're also organised and they're so fit and so strong and so fast and so skillful, and like they are just a brilliantly put together side with a lot of quality. And they've got the game winners as well. They've got tactical versatility. They'll run. They're focused. They're hardworking. There's a lot of humility to them. They're a really good side, and I am genuinely nervous about this game. Semenyo will, of course, have a really good game. You look around the rest of the side. Tavernier scored at the weekend. Kluivert's having a good, good season. Yeah, Adams and Scott will run all day. The back line has been flawless. Just a very good side, and I think it's going to be a very difficult day at the office to see.
Yeah, could well be. And in terms of goals, only City, Chelsea, and Spurs have actually ranked higher than Bournemouth for goals in the Premier League this season. So, do you expect maybe quite an open end-to-end game with lots of chances, maybe lots of goals, or could this be maybe a tighter contest? What do you think we can expect from this one?
I think there's a chance. It depends who's available. I'm hoping, for example, Kusanov is available for this game because against Semenyo, like Kusanov is a cracking natural defender and his pacing behind is a bit of a cheat code for City. So that will immediately alleviate a lot of the pressure or the chances for them to counter. I would hope we go back to O'Reilly because O'Reilly, of course, it was the Bournemouth game last season where he made such an impact. The FA Cup, I think, wasn't it? When he came on
Yeah.
and a couple of assists and towards the end when we won 2-1. I'm hoping he plays because the physicality of O'Reilly and it sounds weird to go back to basics given that there's such a new team, but Kusanov, O'Reilly, then Vardiol, Diaz, then hopefully Nico Gonzalez is available, and then you've got real experience there. And I think at that point you could maybe stop it being a basketball match, which plays into Bournemouth's hands. Because at home, with some key players involved and a renewed focus, hopefully after the Villa game. Second half, for example, was better against Villa, and you'd think after what Bernardo said as well about our pressing, Bernardo was very critical of City's defensive structure and ideas. He said he didn't go into detail, but he said he thought it just wasn't good enough essentially how we played. You'd think after all those things have been said, the awakening of the Villa game and then Bournemouth coming up, you'd think we'd be better because you have to be. No guarantee because Bournemouth's quality is undeniable. But yeah, look, if it ends up a basketball game, it's got to go Bournemouth's way. The only way City have, not the only way, of course, not that's too reductive, but I think the best chance City have it is controlling it and forcing Bournemouth to fall into their trap. And I think that's possible because I do think we'll see more City more for the second half of the Villa game than the first half. But it depends which City turns up. I expect a few changes. I would like to see Doku back into the side personally, with O'Reilly behind him. I would like to see Marmoush actually get a chance on the right. I know he's not a right winger, but his movement and his effectiveness, it's just if it does become a basketball game as well, he's cracking in that as well. Like Marmoush should suit Bournemouth for this stuff. Actually, be a really good player for them. Um, but yeah, like I think there's a chance it could end up high scoring. If it does, I don't think City will win. I think a high scoring game would probably fall towards Bournemouth. Might be a draw, maybe, but I could end up seeing it being 2 or 3 or something like that. But I don't think City's best chance to win it is, yeah, end to end.
Yeah, and you mentioned there as well, Antoine Semenyo. I think keeping him quiet could be key for City in coming out on top this weekend. Of course, only Haaland has scored more Premier League goals than him so far this season. Semenyo's got 6 goals to his name at the moment. He's predominantly played on the left flank for Bournemouth, so he could come up against Kuznov, like you said. He could be fit for this one. At the time of recording this, we're doing this before City's EFL Cup game against Swansea on Wednesday, but Kuznov could be fit potentially for this one to play at right back. If it's not him, it could be either Mateus Nunes or Rico Lewis. So, which player do you think maybe is best suited for that battle with Semenyo at the weekend?
It's definitely Kusanov. His
Yeah,
pace is fantastic, and I know he's not naturally a right back, but his recovery pace and his aggression in the challenge, it's perfect. Got to give Nunes credit. He did. It was the Bournemouth game last season we talked about with O'Reilly, where those two as a pairing really took off, and I think Nunes has done pretty well recently. Not his best game against Villa. A couple of sort of silly moments. Just last minute shot left foot. What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? I'll forgive him though because I thought the game before that he was excellent. I think it shouldn't be Rico Lewis. Never in a million years should it be Rico Lewis. Rico is a very smart footballer, but the physicality and the pace, it has to be one of Kusanov and Nunes there. I suspect if he comes through the Swansea game well, Kusanov, it'll be him because yeah, his pace is the hopefully the solution.
yeah, hopefully so. And finally, then on this game, can I get a score prediction from you for City's clash with Bournemouth?
If it was away, I'd be negative, but at home, I think we'll win this. I do think we'll win this. Yeah, I'm gonna go for. I don't see it being high scoring. I think they'll be a lot tighter than that. I think defensively, City will be much better. I'm expecting a defence close as the ones against the Arsenal game and against United and so on, where you're Donnarumma behind Vardy or Diaz. Uh, stop. Pep's changed at the moment. Vardy's back at left back. Stop it. It doesn't work the same way. The balance of the team has been offset. And if he goes back to O'Reilly and then one of Nunes, Kusanov, right back. I expect City to be much more, solid defensively with Nico Gonzalez ahead of them, presuming he'll play. I think he will do. I will go for City to win. I'm going for 2-0. I fancy your chances there. I reckon they might score, but I think City are going to score two. I don't think they'll score two, Bournemouth. So I'm going to go 2-0 2-1 City.